I'm your dream, make you real. I'm your eyes when you must steal. I'm your pain when you can't feel.
Sad but true.
How many times must we take this disgrace? Another Bears fan throwing insults in our face. The Packers are the greatest team to ever play the game, even if from time to time they've been a little lame. How could you ever love a team with Jim McMahon? Not even Porky Pig was as big a him. They got a reputation that's mostly based on luck. The Bears still suck. 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 They really, 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 really suck. Yes, the Bears still suck.
And still suck they do, and they are now below 500, exactly where they belong, after the Packers laid the smackdown on the Chicago Bears on Sunday night. And speaking of SmackDown, check out the Game On Wisconsin store, where we have a brand new shirt that is, I've been told it has been inspired by some 1990s wrestling, NWO. I recognized it from the Pat McAfee show because I didn't watch wrestling when I was a kid. Sorry, everybody, but I didn't. And there we are, guys. It's the illusion of complexity. So I hope you enjoyed the special intro that we had for you this week. I know it's typically a look ahead kind of show that we have, but beating the Bears is always fun. Listening to Matt Nagy piss and moan about his defense, which has carried him throughout pretty much the duration of his career as the Bears head coach, was quite funny. With all due respect and apologies to our friend last week, the Llama.
Now I feel really bad. Bad Llama.
Thanks to him for joining us and taking the ass kicking in stride that the Packers handed out. Although at this point he's got to be used to it. That's 43 of those. It's only 15 losses since 1992. But let's get to the Eagles. I'm your host this evening. I am Jacob Westendorf. I'm live in the Game On Wisconsin studios and your host for the illusion of complexity. And I am joined by the newest member of OnlyFans, Zach Jacobson. Zach, how you doing?
Did something happen? I don't know. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, thank you guys. Yeah, this is a new turning point in my career. I ditched the whole journalism thing. Now I'm on OnlyFans. So yeah, my first 50 subscribers get free subscriptions. So yeah, nice to be here with you guys.
Yeah, I made the page. It's mostly his earlobe and pinky toe. So
hot.
Yeah, I thought so. And with us as well is Erin Alice, the queen of the show, and I don't have anything mean to say about her. So I know she broke my heart a few years ago.
Oh my God.
You know, she'll never own up to it for whatever reason. But, you know, Erin, you could have had me and you said no, and I'll never forget it.
Well, you know, it's a tough job, but someone's got to do it. Being a heartbreaker. My bad.
Oh, brother.
Heartbreak. Well, and my heart apparently is still broken here 4 years later. So that's where we're at. Guys, thanks for coming. Thank you for being coherent and sober. Apparently that's a challenge some of these days. So especially with the Philadelphia Eagles coming to town. Listen, Eagles fans are prone to getting a little rowdy when it comes to Packers games. I've been actually, you know what? Eagles fans, I will say this. Tim Backus wrote his 2 minutes of hate today, which is hilarious every week. And he said something, I think he used the term assholes and assholery within like 3 words of each other, which was pretty funny. I will say that I've been to several games with Eagles fans in attendance. And I think they get a bit of a bad rap. Not a lot of one, because there's certainly the stories that you hear, but a bit of a bad rap.
Weren't they throwing full beer cans at people?
And batteries, snowballs with batteries at Santa Claus is my personal favorite story.
That's funny as hell. I mean,
right. I would
bad, but
yeah, it's a whole lot of fun.
It's just like the concept of just throwing a whole ass beer can at somebody and like batteries. It's like, why the hell would you do that?
Hell. You know, maybe they were just throwing beer cans, just trying to give them to them. Maybe they're just misunderstood. They're like, here, bro, have a beer. And they chucked it at their face. And they're like, oh, well, you know, we were just trying to give you a beer.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we're the ones that's like we're just maybe misconstruing their actual actions. I mean, I've never met a bad Eagles fan outside of like online. I mean, every fan base has their bad eggs online on social media and stuff. Even Packer fans are obviously guilty of that. Like one of my good friends is Bryce is an Eagles fan, and he's great. I know him for like 10 years, but I mean, I don't know if you guys have had any bad experiences with Eagles fans.
Actually, I've been in the stadium. I went to a Vikings-Eagles playoff game in 2008. It was Rodgers' first season as a starter. I had a friend of mine that was an Eagles fan. He gave me a free ticket, and I went as an Eagles fan because I'm not rooting for the Vikings. I mean, come on. What do you I'm a lot of things, but I'm not an undomesticated animal like a Vikings fan is. But I went in, and I remember that a Vikings fan dumped a full plate of nacho cheese on my high school. I was 17 years old at the time. He dumped it on my high school Letterman jacket because I was wearing an Eagles jersey at the time, and he was pissed. So, yeah, I don't have a second favorite team, but I guess you could say I have a soft spot for the Eagles. I have for a really long time. I spent a lot of my childhood rooting for those Donovan McNabb, Andy Reid teams that went to the NFC Championship games. Felt like every year. I said the other night, I don't remember who I was talking to, but I said, I think it might've been Jimmy Christensen. And I said that had the Eagles won one of those Super Bowls in that early, cause it started around when I was 10 and still relatively impressionable. Had they won a Super Bowl in that time frame, I may very well be an Eagles fan at this time point, but for the most part, it's maybe not, because I mean, the Packers have been just such a huge part of my life, obviously, but it's one of those, every time we play them, I hope we beat them, because my dad's an Eagles fan, my uncle's an Eagles fan, and we've had a lot of cool experiences in seeing the Packers play the Eagles. But yeah, like I said, I think they get a little bit of a bad rep, but throwing batteries and stuff at Santa Claus. To be fair, at the time of that incident, Santa had yet to gift them a Super Bowl trophy. So maybe that's why. I don't know. But that's where we're at with the game this week. The Packers will play at 3:25 against the Philadelphia Eagles. Let's wrap up just a little bit, very, very briefly, which is a specialty in Erin's life. But very briefly, Erin, let's wrap up the Packers. I love it when Zach just gets the joke at the very end. But let's wrap
a couple seconds. But
yeah, let's wrap up. 53 men from Chicago and resulting in disappointment for their favorite team. So
my mother listens to this.
I didn't say that. No. Okay, let me
with the innuendos tonight. I'll tell you that.
I am. I'm not saying that those 53 men have come through your apartment or anything like that, because that would be completely disrespectful, and I would never say such a thing. But
no, you didn't say it until now.
Well, I suppose, yeah, Zach's right. I just did. Nonetheless, guys, Erin, let's talk about just what happened in the game and what your takeaway from it was, if anything.
It was really nice to see. My biggest takeaway is Darnell Savage. It was so awesome to see him emerge, because you could just see the past few weeks he's been almost there, and he's been playing. He's gotten so much better, and sorry, my cat is wanting attention right now. And he's just been kind of on the cusp, and for him to have a breakout game, it was really awesome to see. And again, you give kudos to the offensive line. I mean, Mac and Roquan Smith were invisible the entire game, except for Roquan Smith's little unsportsmanlike behavior towards the end of the game when the laser show came out. But yeah, I think just both sides of the ball, it was a lot of fun to watch. Preston coming out game too. Oh, it was fun, especially as a Chicagoan. It was really, really great to see a classic Packers beat down of the Bears.
That it was, and it's become the norm. I'll be 30 in September. I say that with a special shout out to Jason Perone, who likes to point that out every chance he gets, because he's twice that age. So, I mean, I get it. I'm starting to hit some milestone ages here, but 43 and 15. I know Todd Varney, Jimmy Christensen hate when I say this, but it's not a rivalry. It's not a rivalry if the other team doesn't win, and the Bears don't win. And when I say that, just let shade be shade. Stop fucking ruining it, you morons. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Zach, what was your takeaway from the Chicago game?
I wish you could see Zach's face.
Sorry, I haven't heard Jacob say that word on air in a while. Anyways,
we have a segment called Marry, Fuck, Kill, and I've said fuck each of the last 3 weeks.
Okay, well, outside of the context of the game, I haven't heard you say that in a while. Okay, can you just watch your fucking mouth for once? Jesus.
At least you can understand every word that's coming out of my mouth.
Jesus.
Oh man, it's gonna be a great show. I can already.
Yeah, I hate that few people are gonna. It's gonna go over their heads. All right, biggest takeaway from the game is that I'm gonna sound like a little bit of a broken record because I said this on Open Book earlier today, which this is being recorded right now on Thursday night.
What show is that?
Yeah, how about you go screw yourself, Jacob? This game should not be devalued or discounted in any way just because it was against the Bears and they're bad and they have Trubisky at quarterback. I mean, when you're trying to be a great football team, and we hear this every week, you're supposed to beat up on teams like this. I mean, for example, we saw the Jaguars come into Lambeau Field a few weeks ago and give the Packers a run for their money. We saw them almost beat the Packers in the confines of Lambeau Field. You know, granted, it was a pretty weird weather type of game, but they forced the Packers to punt in their first 3 possessions. The only first down was that Robert Tonyan DPI. You know, they were really sticking it to the Packers, and that was a bad football team based on their record. So now you get a team like the Bears, average record. I think they were like 5-5 coming into this game or something, and just kind of like a mediocre football team who had been on a losing streak. You're supposed to beat the brakes off of teams like that, and the Packers did. They dropped over 40 points in this team. Aaron Rodgers was looking like Aaron Rodgers, taking everything that was available to him. And I made the comparison to that Texans game a few weeks back, where he wasn't doing anything crazy. He wasn't being Superman. He wasn't being the Aaron Rodgers that we've seen throughout his career. He was taking everything that was available to him, everything underneath. He just wasn't being this remarkable quarterback, you know. And Ben Fennell actually used the term game manager, which I know has that negative connotation to it, but it's, in this sense, it's a good thing. He was a game manager. He was making the throws he was supposed to make. Guys are being schemed open, and he hit his checkdowns. He hit guys when they were supposed to be, in the design of the play. And that was one of the biggest criticisms I think the last few years of him, even in the first year with LaFleur, is just he wasn't playing within the rhythm of the offense. He wasn't playing just within the design of the play. And now you're finally seeing that. You're seeing him get into that rhythm, get into that flow of the offense. And the best example of that was Sunday night against the Bears.
Yeah, and I think you make a good point there with getting into the flow of the offense. The game manager portion of thing, I think the negative connotation that comes with that is the idea that he can't take over a game, right? Like, for example, Jimmy Garoppolo is a game manager. Tom Brady, to some degree, is a game manager. You know, the difference being, of course, outside of the confines of the offense is, can you take over and win a game or put an offense on your back? Because wins aren't a quarterback thing, obviously. But can you do that when things aren't going perfectly? And Aaron Rodgers can still do that. But watching him manage the game within this offense has been very good. Something I talked about earlier with Joey the Jaguar and Big B from the Underage Packers podcast was last year, you know, the Packers, somebody asked one of them asked, what was the biggest, issue that the Packers had last season compared to this year? And I said, the Packers didn't have an elite unit. They weren't elite on offense. They weren't elite on defense. They were an average offense last year, quite frankly, maybe slightly above, and a slightly above average defense that got run over in the final game of the season. But overall, they were good enough and they made enough plays to win a lot of games. That's why they were 13-3. This year is different. They have an elite offense. And I think you've seen that on display, and you've watched what Aaron Rodgers has been able to do. And it's been nice to see him, you know, in the early stages of Mike McCarthy's coaching tenure. Rodgers trusted what he was seeing. Rodgers trusted the offense. Rodgers trusted the coaching staff. Rodgers trusted everything that was going on around him, and the ball would come out and the ball would fly out of his hands. And you can just tell the difference from year 1 to year 2 last year, where he's a little unsure of himself, the offense, the guys around him, all that stuff, to this year where he sees it, he throws it. And it's almost like instinctual. And they talked a lot about that this offseason. So it's been nice to see that going on. So Zach mentioned my potty mouth earlier. So let's get into it. One of our favorite segments of every single week. And this week it is Philadelphia and Pennsylvania. We cheated a little bit, but not a lot of it, but a little bit. For guys, you got to marry one, you've got to fuck one, and you've got to kill one. And we are doing television shows that are based in Pennsylvania. And our 3 shows, of course, start with The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. It's not necessarily based in Philadelphia, but that's where Will Smith is from in the show before he moves out to Bel-Air, obviously. Boy Meets World and The Office. So, Zach Jacobson, I will let you go first.
You know,
he's struggling.
Yeah, I am, because
it's a tough one. It's a tough one.
It is. You know, because I love easily my favorite show out of all the 3 here. It's Fresh Prince. You know, I mean, I before we recorded this, I mean, I broke into song. I started singing the theme song. Okay, I mean, I had the whole damn thing memorized. So
that's kind of what inspired it, right? That's how we got into this idea.
Started it, yeah.
So this is your fault.
It is actually. Yeah, you're right. I think I would marry Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I can't be without that show. I've never seen Boy Meets World in my life, but I think I'm going to fuck that show. I'm not gonna say the name because it would sound very suspect if I said that. So that's gonna be my option, but not because I want it to be or because I enjoy the show, because like I said, I've never seen it. But I'm picking that purely out of my disdain for The Office, because The Office has to die. Thank you, everybody. I'll be here all week. Thank you. So yeah, The Office. I am killing you.
I've never been more proud of you than I am at this very moment. Maybe when you said Five Guys was better than In-N-Out, which honestly is an undisputable fact, but unfortunately people just aren't quite all the way on board with that yet.
Well, Jacob, I live to make you proud, obviously.
I would like to think so, at least. You know, you started a really unhealthy. You started an unhealthy trend. Anytime we do this show, for like the first 4 or 5 shows that we did together, I ate Five Guys as preparation because it almost felt like it made me feel closer to you. So it helped.
He blames me for that. Take some accountability for once in your damn life.
Yeah, I'm saying that as if it wasn't my problem. I drove to the freaking restaurant, spent the $35 on a burger and fries, and
$35. All right, well,
pounded it
a little bit.
It's
was
like
$30?
No. Oh yeah, I used to get it when I lived in the city. I used to get it on Uber Eats, and it was like a $6 delivery fee plus like the Uber fee. It ended up being like $30, and I was like, whatever.
That's delivery.
My life.
Yeah, when I get it delivered, it's 23-ish, but I got to tell you, the delivery takes something away from it. I still do it because of my overall laziness and because I'm just a slob and kind of a piece of shit, but I do let deliveries happen, but it is so much better going there to get it, and it doesn't beat it. Like like fresh off the grill, obviously, it's fantastic.
The fries are so much better fresh, especially when you get the Cajun fries. Oh my God.
You know what? I have to try those. I've been meaning to. I never have.
They're the best. You have to have.
The hard part with Five Guys when it comes to their fries is there's so fucking many of them that there is no like just try them.
Like I almost feel like it's a waste for them to like give that little cup. Like just you're just gonna pour them into the bag anyways. Just get rid of the cup.
So are we all under the understanding that bag fries, like if you go to any other restaurant, right? Bag fries are the best fries, right? Because it's like a bonus.
Yeah.
So do those count at Five Guys?
No, I think when
because they intentionally put fries in just the bag.
Because there's no way they're fitting an entire scoop in that little
white
cup. So whatever falls out.
the cup. They should just start serving it in the bag.
See, when I was in college, that cup was a nice little thing because I'd have my burger, I'd have my fries, and then I'd have my dip spitter for later in the day. So I would just keep one of the 80,000 napkins they give you. And here's my dip cup for the next few days.
When I would go to Five Guys,
let me rewind that. No, not few days, because that's disgusting. But
no, you already said it. It's out there. It's on the airway.
I really thought one of you was going to catch that. Few hours.
That's fucking sick, Jacob.
I mean, it's not pleasant. I don't do it anymore, but it was a nice little luxury.
When I would go to Five Guys with my coworker for lunch, which I think was around the time it sparked the whole Five Guys crusade, I would start on Twitter, and you know how much superior it was over In-N-Out.
A noble crusade.
Thank you. There was this one specific guy there every single time, because it would be at the same time during our lunch break at work. There was one specific guy working on the grill every time who would load the fries into our bag, and every single time he recognized us, and he purposely gave us extra fries. I think like he poured us a little more into the bag, and every single time he gave us this weird shit-eating grin as he was doing it, and I'm like, it was like just the weirdest thing. But I mean,
he probably had a crush on you.
He probably had a crush on us. There were two of us.
Well, I don't know if he did or he didn't, but what I do know is I need to drive to California and I need to meet this man.
You do it. It was in Seal Beach.
Jacob's gonna risk it all for the Five Guys fries guy.
Listen, I'm staying with you, so I mean, just so you know.
That's fine. Yeah, I got more than enough room over here.
So is there more room in your mom's basement?
We actually don't have basement. Wait.
You guys can share the same bed. It's fine. You can snuggle.
I mean, if you're going to twist my arm.
But I'm not twisting your arm. Jacob, just get in the bed.
Hey, if I need to, then, you know, whatever
It's
works.
be like our most push the limit episode yet. I feel it.
Erin, just give us your FMK.
Okay.
It could be worse, guys. Like I said, every word I've said has been clear and concise. So, I mean, it could be worse. But Erin, MFK, fly away.
This is really tough. I'm gonna have to. I know you're both gonna hate this, but I'm gonna marry The Office. I'll do it. Oh, you know what?
No,
you guys are like
what?
in the
You know
minority.
what? I get it. Because is anybody who is married truly happy? The answer is probably not.
Here we go again. You deflected.
Jacob, do you want to talk about something?
Yeah, you need to get something out.
My wife doesn't listen to the show, so who gives a shit?
She happens to listen to this one episode. This is the first.
Well, like I said, if that trip to California for Five Guys fries becomes more of a permanent stay, we all know why.
Oh my god. Anyways, yeah, I mean, but I'm gonna say up until Steve Carell leaves, because anything after that is just crap. So it's more that I want to marry Steve Carell. So let's
pause there for just a second. Is there any show that has lost a main character and remained good? Like, for example, like I call this the That 70s Show theory.
I was going to say that.
I call it that because it's the first one that I noticed that happening, where like somebody left, and then so when Eric leaves, obviously the show lasted one more season, right? There are some shows that have hung on longer. Like for those of you that are fans of the show Dexter, his girlfriend dies in season 4. Spoiler alert. Sorry.
Should have said spoiler alert before you said that spoiler.
Yeah,
but whatever.
You know what? I'm not an expert on this. She dies in season 4, and they did 4 more seasons after that. And season 5 is okay. 6 through 8 you could probably skip, but by that point you're probably hooked to want to watch it anyways. But that's all beside the point. Is there any show that you guys can think of that has lost its main character? Like The Ranch is another show that I can think of on, oddly enough, a lot of the same characters from that 70s show, but
The Ranch.
Well,
that was Ashton Kutcher and Danny Masterson.
A main character, because one name I'm going to throw out, the first season of Law and Order SVU, it was before Ice Cube was on it.
Ice-T.
Ice Cube.
wrapper has ice in it. You know,
I couldn't remember which one is which.
Come on, Ice Cube's Ice Cube. Come on.
Oh, he's on NCIS. See, they're both on crime shows. Like, that's confusing for me.
Detective
before-
Tutuola.
Tutuola. See, I could have told you that.
I would have known.
That's all that I know really about him is from that show. But he was not on the first season, and there was another girl that was on it. And she, at the end of the first season, basically gets like kicked out because she slept with a suspect. And so they decide that she's not good enough. And so they do, I would consider that a main character. And so she left.
Yeah, but the main characters of that show, I guess that is not a bad example though, because Elliot Stabler is one of the main characters of that show, and he hasn't been on the show in 10 years, and it's still good. So there's a good example.
It's the only example we could think of.
Doo-doo. Yeah. Okay. So that's the only one. Zach, to answer your question for the ranch, that's Ashton Kutcher and Danny Masterson, and they had to remove him for some, we'll call them legal troubles. Well, okay. Aaron, just go ahead.
Right. I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Aaron, you're stupidly marrying The Office. Go on.
I'm going to marry the Steve Carell office. Although I would marry the Ricky Gervais office.
Although I want to point out that she has said several times she doesn't really want to get married anyways. So
when did I say that?
When I asked and you said no.
Oh, that's right. When you got down on your knee and proposed.
Correct.
That was probably her just covering up the fact she didn't want to get married to you specifically.
There you go. It was
which is fair.
Yeah.
Anyway, I only got
Frankie
Frankie to agree to it with chloroform, so you know.
This just took a really dark turn. Anyway, speaking of
this show's a disaster. If you've stopped listening by now, I completely understand.
So marry The Office. I'm gonna fuck Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I mean, yeah, it's so much fun, and we'll just, you know, the spontaneity, the goofiness. I'm into that. I'm gonna kill Boy Meets World because it's too much of like an after school special where it just seems too like sweet and whatever, and it's also creepy to think.
And Erin's an ice princess, apparently.
Ice princess? What does that mean?
Like you're an ice pick. You're cold-hearted.
I know, but why? Why? Because I'm killing Boy Meets World?
You just said it was like too much of an after-school special. It's warm and happy and lighthearted, and how horrible.
It's like too creepy to think that I'm going to have sex with that show. It feels inappropriate.
No, that was the second reason. Your first reason was because it was too happy and giddy and stuff.
To be fair, it's probably a little weird to think that we're having sex with any television show. So if you're really the goal of the segment is to not think about it too much.
It's also weird to think that we're having sex with chocolate, but Erin still said she's going to go to town on what, a Twix or a Kit Kat or what was it? I mean, come on.
Twix. You guys. Oh my god.
just so everybody's aware, the snorting in the background was definitely not Erin. That was not her when she laughed.
No. Yeah, I snort when I laugh. It's fine. Sometimes.
Oh, okay. It's not funny if she's not like somewhat embarrassed by it. So
okay.
It's my turn.
I'm gonna kill the
well, way to spoil it, but I am going. Here's the thing. I am 29 years old. And everybody my age that is a male, who was your first crush? Topanga. I always wanted to marry Topanga. So I'm marrying Boy Meets World because what you want to do in an ideal marriage where you're actually happy, you want to grow together, right? And Boy Meets World, yeah, it's kind of cheesy and it has some like morals of the story and it's kind of wholesome and how horrible. Erin will hate it because duh. But it allows you to grow together with them. And when they get into their adult season, I guess that's the portion that I want to talk about. So this isn't too weird, obviously. But you get into that portion of the show, you marry that portion of the show. And if you want a show that talks about find someone who loves you the way Corey loves Topanga. Topanga walked from Pittsburgh to Philadelphia just to be with Corey. That's the kind of love I want in my life. Yes, I will marry Boy Meets World.
God forbid there's a show that just makes you feel happy and has nice.
I didn't say that. I
stuff. God forbid, Erin.
I don't want to have sex with an after-school special.
Well, you're not having sex with it. You're marrying it.
Well, I already married The Office, so.
That's true. That's okay. Fair.
So.
Look, we all said that we're gonna have sex with candy bars. We're too far past the point of no return.
No.
Okay, again.
I will say I always had a crush on his older brother because he's like
Eric?
a goofball. And and I always have like the attraction to the goofball. So you're asking me why I'm gonna fuck Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. It's because I'm attracted to the goofiness. I told you that.
And that's where I'm going to go because I kind of had a thing for Hillary Banks when I was a kid too. And then Ashley grew up and kind of became pretty attractive as she got older as well. It's a good show. And funny story, my roommate from college. So my senior year, I was roommates with a freshman. Don't ask. It's a really long story. It's weird. It sucked. I was in a freshman dorm as a senior. It was great being asked by a bunch of 17-year-olds to buy them alcohol. It was awesome. I hated every second of it. But my roommate was cool. And we used to watch Fresh Prince every night before we were going to sleep because it was something we both had a TV in our room. So it was like one thing we could agree on watching. And he said when he was younger, his mom told me the story when we moved in that he used to dance in his diaper to the theme song from the show. So Brandon, if you're listening, I just told that story to everybody who listens to the show and I don't apologize at all. And I'm giving you the finger right now because that was our standard greeting. Kill. I've been waiting for this since the show started. The next scene from The Office that is funny will be the first.
Oh my God. You know
the show is terrible.
Terrible.
Objectively terrible. Kill it with fire. Light the torch. Burn it down and piss on the ashes. The Office is horrible. Moving on, Erin's. Yep. Erin's mic has been muted. Do you guys see? Because I can't hear her now, so she's done, and she's going to call me out because I have made a couple Office references, and they've been unknowingly because I've watched.
We're going to call you out, and you said that you've hardly watched it. That you've watched like 1 or 2 episodes, and you're forming an opinion that passionately when you haven't seen any of it. That is what I'm calling you out for.
More than enough.
Yeah. Nope.
Just like Revolver Ocelot said in Metal Gear Solid, 6 bullets, more than enough to kill anything that moves. 3 episodes, more than enough to rot my brain. It was enough.
No.
To be fair, when I called The Office remarkably average, I never said it was a bad show. Like, I still think it's decent. I understand why people like it. I thought there were a couple funny scenes. So, I mean,
I was bummed. Yeah. I'm bummed because I like Steve Carell. 40-Year-Old Virgin, one of my favorite movies ever.
Same.
Maybe not ever, but I mean, it's one of my favorite movies. It's good.
Right. I would be pushing it. It's a funny movie.
But he's pretty funny in just about everything he does. What's the other movie that I'm trying to think of? He was funny in Bruce Almighty. His character in that movie I thought was pretty funny too. Anchorman, obviously. Brick. Yeah. One of my favorite characters. Yeah. He's good as a side character. Just don't care for the show. So there you guys have it. We've fallen.
I haven't seen the British version of The Office.
Nope.
You're not a dry humor, are you?
I can be.
Like Arrested Development.
I like Seinfeld. Arrested Development. I like Seinfeld. And Seinfeld's like the OG. I remember when I was a kid, it was Home Improvement, then it was Seinfeld, and then it was Monday Night Football.
Yep.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's great. Jerry Seinfeld's awesome. Have you guys ever seen Frank Caliendo's impression of Jerry Seinfeld?
No.
Ooh, maybe.
Hilarious. I mean, Caliendo's impressions are kind of funny almost regardless, but some of the like the football guys like the Gruden and the Madden and some of that stuff's kind of played out by this point, at least to me. But his other stuff he's done is pretty funny. And he's got he did a Seinfeld one, he's done some others. They're pretty funny. So there you guys have it. We've fallen completely off the rails again. If you never listen to the show again, I completely understand. So yeah, let's talk about this weekend. There's a football game this weekend. It's at 3:25. It's on CBS. The Packers get Nance and Romo for their matchup against the Philadelphia Eagles. So let's talk about real quick, guys. What is your guys' opinion on pickles?
I'm assuming we're going straight into our heavy hitters segment before we talk.
We are here for heavy hitting analysis, guys.
What did you think that question was? That if it wasn't our heavy hitters,
stupid.
Aaron, are you giving me shit right now?
Yeah, I'm giving you shit.
Okay, well, that's a shame because you're the only person here who agrees with me that pickles are great.
Fucking
That's my stance on pickles. I grew up eating pickles straight out of the jar. I order when I get a sandwich from somewhere, I order extra pickles. When I get a burger from somewhere, I order extra pickles. When I finish a jar of pickles, I literally sometimes sip the juice. I have done it since I was a kid. Jacob, what the fuck are you laughing at, man?
Question I can't ask on the air, so go on.
God. Just ask. Why not say it at this point?
There's a point where we draw the line. Have you guys here's the way I'm going to ask it. Have you guys have watched Family Guy before, obviously, which sure. I don't think I've watched Family Guy in like 10 years. Is it still funny?
I mean, the only episodes that I've seen recently were like old ones.
Yeah, I haven't watched anything.
There's a point
like in like the last 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, when they went, I don't know like the exact point, but basically when they went Stewie from like murderous villain to whatever it was, he became like where he went kind of weird. And then I think they made him like gay, right?
He was gay like early on.
Was he? Okay, then maybe that wasn't the line or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's one of those like that type of humor though. Like there's an expiration date for jokes like that.
He went from wanting to murder Lois to now all of a sudden he just kind of abandoned that. I don't know. He's just like an actual part of the family now.
Nobody understanding what he was saying to like people kind of understanding him. Some people do like,
right.
They kind of got weird on that character.
Yeah. And there's a line like, again, a show like that has a expiration date and they've just blown past it. It's kind of the same way. I know The Simpsons is like a huge deal, but
20 years past there.
I haven't watched an episode of The Simpsons in probably 20 years. It's been a really long time. The way I was going to explain this though, is there's an episode of Family Guy where Death is in the house and he has a chicken bone. He has a chicken wing and he puts it in his hood
and it goes
straight. It comes out and the bone is clean. And somebody asks Death, how can you do that? And he said, I've done some films in college that I'm not particularly proud of. So Zach, are there any things that you can do with pickles that you're not particularly proud of is the question?
No, that's the pickles. I'm talking about whole sandwiches.
Oh, Jesus.
Have you guys ever seen Coneheads?
Oh my God. I haven't seen that movie in a long time.
Erin, how do you feel about pickles, please?
I love pickles. I was just saying before I came on the show, because I didn't have dinner tonight and it's, 11 o'clock here. So I literally was just standing at my fridge eating pickles out of the jar. I love pickle juice when I'm hungover because it has like a lot of electrolytes. It's a very good drink when you're hungover. I love pickles. I put them on everything.
I drank pickle juice when I had cramps, like during high school football and stuff like that, probably because of those electrolytes and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's a good hangover cure.
Otherwise, I don't care. It's weird because I like the smell of pickles. And usually, like, if you like the smell of something, you like the taste. That makes sense. Those senses are like kind of connected, right? But I like dill pickle chips, those chips that Lay's made. I like those.
What the fuck? What? You're talking about like potato chips.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I thought you meant like dill pickle chips, like the round ones.
Oh no.
You're talking
There's
about
actual like potato chips.
I at first too, but then he started talking about the actual Lay's. See, I don't like those. Like I love pickles, but I won't eat like pickle flavored chips.
Oh yeah. See, I'm the opposite. I will, but I won't eat pickles.
You're a sick man.
I am, but we've established that earlier. So, I eat cheese on my popcorn, which apparently is like, I did not realize that was as controversial as it was.
Dusty, Sarah, and Steve or Steve at least tested that out in their Pack a Day podcast. He got all serious. He did one with queso, and then he did one with mozzarella shredded cheese, and then he did like cheese flavoring. And the cheese flavoring is good. And I do have to admit, I did try cheddar on it, like melted cheddar, and it was like, eh.
What was their verdict? What did they?
I haven't listened yet, but I know he was doing it for the podcast because I suggested it.
Mm-hmm.
I saw the picture where it was like laid out on the counter.
Yeah. So someone suggested it and tagged me in it, and I was like, "Don't you dare associate me with that." was like, that was all Jacob.
Happily. I'll take all the credit in the world for that. I don't even care. It's delicious. I had some of it last night. It was wonderful.
Like
And that's
very
fine.
meh.
But,
I did try it. It was very
but it's
underwhelming.
not disgusting. Like you guys tried to make it sound like it was the same as that freaking monster animal that Zach's friends with that eats it with ketchup.
It's in that area.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
Yeah, it's
It
in
was-
the same ballpark. It's in the same ballpark. You guys aren't in the field together at the same time, but
If we're in the same
ballpark.
ballpark, we're talking about the difference between like the oldest park that looks nasty, like a little league ballpark is like the one with ketchup, and I'm at Yankee Stadium.
Okay, that's
Yankee Stadium.
but then by that metric, Yankee Stadium is like right here, and then that little league field is
The
like
Little League
right next
field.
door.
Yankee Field for the day.
All right, I am done being slandered. We're moving on.
Oh shit, Jacob drew the line. Oh
Yep.
no.
Yep, my lawyers will be sending you guys letters in the mail, and I know both of your addresses, so it's fine. You know, whatever. We'll just move on from it. Anyways,
Hang on.
yes, we get Nance and Romo on Sunday. My first question: do you guys like Tony Romo? Do you love Tony Romo? How's that?
I love Tony Romo.
Me too.
I like Tony Romo. I don't dislike him. But
Oh, I wish
listen,
you could
I don't
like,
say that.
roll the
I don't dislike him. I just sometimes wish he would talk a little less. And I will say this: last week, Romo on the broadcast for Chiefs and Bucks, like doing everything he could to make sure Tom Brady got zero blame, was a little ridiculous.
That's like everybody though.
I
Like
noticed
that's nothing unique.
but Jacob's right about that. I did notice that.
Mhm.
Like there were,
That-
there
I
were
mean,
a
that's
lot-
one incident, obviously, but I do wish that he would talk just a little bit less.
looking at like the overall body of work and like everything he's done as a broadcaster. Though I think he's like he's like up there. You know, it's like him and Joe Buck. I think are like.
I
the
wish
two-
those two would pair together, honestly, because I think Buck and Romo would make a great pairing, and then I don't have to listen to Troy Aikman.
Yeah, I think
It's a win.
Troy Aikman honestly he weighs down that tandem. Like if you
I
paired,
don't understand why people. There are a lot of people that don't like Joe Buck though, and I don't get it.
It's
No,
because he's with, well, one, because he's with Aikman, two, because people accuse him of being biased, which number one, here's my soapbox, guys. There's no such thing as true objectivity. It does not exist. Everybody has a bias based on where they came from, where they grew up from. Cubs fans, I remember around here, were pissing and moaning that Joe Buck was rooting against them, quote unquote, in the World Series. And he's biased against the Cubs. You know what? He might have a slight issue with objectivity toward the Cubs, but he grew up going to Cardinals games because his dad is a Hall of Fame announcer, or was, the late Joe Buck Sr., Jack Buck, was a Hall of Fame announcer for the St. Louis Cardinals. So, of course, he might have a little bit of that to draw from, but no, he wasn't rooting against the Cubs from winning the World Series. He's talked several times about wanting to be the guy who called the Cubs winning the World Series. So there's that. Overall, I think what people want is people like us who sit here and tell us how everything is awesome with our favorite team. And there's a faction of fans too that will want to tell you how everything about your favorite team sucks and everybody needs to be fired and cut and traded and all that stuff too. Basically what they want is the announcer, whoever's announcing the game, they want them to confirm what they think. So I think Aaron Rodgers is awesome and amazing and the MVP and the best quarterback and all that stuff. I need the announcer to say all that stuff too. And when the announcer says that Patrick Mahomes is better, and he is, sorry guys, but Mahomes is better than Rodgers. I just want to get that out there. So go ahead and light a torch in my mentions. That's fine. I don't care. That bothers them for some reason. And they're gushing. The media gushes, quote unquote, over Patrick Mahomes. It's like, guys, they did the same thing for Aaron they still do for 10, 15 years. It just is what it is. But that's beside the point. So I like Romo. I wish he would talk a little bit less, but overall he's very, very good. Hopefully one day they get him over on Fox and pair him up with Joe Buck. But let's talk. The Eagles may not have Fletcher Cox in this game. Their offense is struggling, to put it bluntly. And I mean, where do we start with this? Let's start on the offensive side of the ball for the Eagles. I mean, their offensive line, 4 out of 5 starters are missing. What's a matchup that you guys are looking at for the Packers to take advantage of on the offensive side of the ball? And maybe who's keeping you awake at night if you're Mike Pettin? And Erin, I will start with you.
I mean, if you're Mike Pettin, I don't know if anybody's really concerning. I mean, because you know what? I am so excited. It's officially December, and Kenny Clark in December is one of my favorite things. And I think this is the game where he's going to get 2 sacks. That is what I'm putting out there. But as for my Pettin, I just don't think that there's much to be afraid of. Carson Wentz looks awful. He's on pace to nearly get the triple frown. He's leading. I know he's leading in interceptions and sacks. I think he's got 15 interceptions, 46 sacks, and he's like tied for second in fumbles. I mean, he's a mess, and this offensive line is a mess. I think this pass rush is going to have another great game, and I cannot wait.
All right. There is a little bit in there that I just wanted to get to. Their offensive line obviously is in shambles.
Mm-hmm.
I think the pass rush has an opportunity to have a really good game. It's December, like you mentioned. That's when Kenny Clark rises up. I'm calling another big game for Preston Smith. I think that he had a sack, he had a touchdown. He did his little breakdown again today, which is, I'm not sure if he's trying to be like Marshawn Lynch light, or if he like thinks it's funny and the media thinks it's funny, but I tend to chuckle. It's kind
I
of
think it was intentional. I think he did it because he was smiling the entire time. I think he thought that he knew that people really liked it the first time.
Yeah, it's funny. So I think that he's somebody that if the Packers can get him going down the stretch, it adds another dimension, because this defense has been just below average. They're ranked 19th overall and 20th against the run, 19th against the pass. That's pretty darn average as far as the defense goes. I know everybody says they're the worst defense. It's just not true. I mean, that's so frustrating when people say things like that, because again, watch some of these teams try and play defense around the NFL. It's not true, but whatever. That's fine. If they can get him going, that's with the ascension of Darnell Savage in recent weeks. Adrian Amos playing better. Jair's obviously been awesome. Kevin King is back, and he's played really well since he's returned. I'm not saying that the Packers have the 85 Bears defense or even the 96 Packers defense out there or anything like that, but they have a defense that can be good enough with an elite offense. And offense wins championships. Don't let the media fool you. Offense wins championships, and that's especially true in 2020 with an elite offense to win a Super Bowl. So I'm looking forward to that. I look forward to a big game from Preston Smith on the defensive side of the ball. Zach, where are you looking?
I want to see how they handle Miles Sanders. I mean, looking last year, the Eagles were one of the 3 teams to beat the Packers in the regular season. That Monday night game, I think that really shocked a lot of people, and it was a team quarterbacked by Carson Wentz. Granted, it wasn't a team that had the same type of offensive line that's going through the same type of adversity that the Eagles currently are right now. I mean, you mentioned it, 4 of the 5 starters are out. And, this whole year they've been just cycling through so many different combinations. There hasn't been a lot of what's the word? Continuity up there protecting Carson Wentz. And I think that's a big factor, and that's attributed to some of his struggles. But regardless, he has been playing good football, so I think they're going to lean heavily on Miles Sanders. And it's just, after seeing what David Montgomery did last week, and especially that big run at the beginning of the game, that I mean, Andy broke it down open book for Eli and I, but I still can't kind of wrap my head around just how slow Christian Kirksey was reacting to that play, that big David Montgomery run. So if you're Miles Sanders and you watch that and you just watch some of the other things that David Montgomery did, I mean, you got to just be chomping at the bit. You got to be excited. Because I know the Eagles, they're definitely going to want to lean on him a little bit. They don't really have much offensively outside of him. I know you got a former Packer in Travis Fulgham who never really got a shot in training camp. I know a lot of Packer fans are going to cry, piss and moan about that, but that's using the power of hindsight.
I mean, hindsight makes everything easy. So I love it.
Yeah.
It makes me sound so much smarter.
Yeah, it makes life so much easier too. But Yeah, no, that's where I'm looking. I want to see how the Packers handle Miles Sanders, just how they combat the running game.
All right, we've gone over on time. We spent way too much time being idiots talking nonsense, basically. So, not as much football this week. We promise to be a little bit better next week, but we hope you were entertained at minimum. So, we're going to go into predictions. I like the Packers. I think their offense is better. I think Devontae Adams can have a big game against Darius Slay. Guys, in your prediction, I'm going to ask you who catches Aaron Rodgers' 400th touchdown pass, assuming it happens this weekend. You can say that it doesn't. I am going to say that Jay Sternberger catches Aaron Rodgers' 400th touchdown pass. I think it's going to be someone that you're not expecting. Things like that have happened before. If you think about it, like I think 200 was James Jones, 300 was Ty Montgomery, and I know that because it's like right behind me. So it wasn't like Greg Jennings, Jordy Nelson, Randall Cobb, like guys like that weren't the ones catching his. I don't know who caught his 100 touchdown pass off the top of my head. So if one of our producers wants to Google that, then that would be super. But I know that it's kind of one of those. James Jones was good, but it wasn't his top receiver, especially in 2011 when it happened. So I'm going to take Jay Sternberger to catch that as somebody of a bit of an oddball. I like the Packers. I like them to win relatively big. I say 41 to 21. I think that it'll be a high scoring affair for the Packers. I think the Eagles turn the ball over. And when the Packers turn the ball over, it's like when a toddler knows you're tired. They just destroy your very will to live. And I love my daughter, but when I am the sleepiest is when she's the happiest and the most playful. So that makes things a little bit difficult. So I like the Packers. I like them big. I think if the Eagles are going to turn the ball over, get sacked, not be able to cover in the secondary, I mean, tell me a matchup that Philadelphia wins. Unless Miles Sanders can run for 250 yards and the Eagles don't give him the ball enough to do that. So I'm not all that concerned. Zachary, prediction, and does 12 get his 400th touchdown this weekend? To whom?
My prediction, I have the Packers winning 42-20, which coincidentally, I've predicted that on 2 different shows, so we're sharing the same brain here a little bit. Kind of like my X factor really is kind of going to be on offense, and it's going to be Devontae Adams going against that familiar foe in Darius Slay, going back to their days in the NFC North together. There's that familiarity there. Devontae Adams knows what to expect from him. Slay knows what to expect from Adams, and Slay, he's coming off of a game where he got absolutely abused and humiliated by DK Metcalf. Corners either use games like that to bounce back, or they don't bounce back and they descend even further, and it just crushes their morale and their confidence, and it carries over to the next week. I think this is an opportunity to not force feed Devontae Adams, but just kind of make him the focal point of your game plan, and just kind of just up his targets a little bit. I think he's going to be due for a big game, and Aaron Rodgers is going to be due for a big game. That being said, with Aaron Rodgers being due for a big game as well, which, again, I don't think the Eagles are going to be able to keep up with, I think Mercedes Lewis catches number 400. Yeah. I would start barking, but I feel like this dog persona it's going a little too far.
Yeah, well, I mean, you did have to clarify on Twitter that you are not actually a dog. So
it is in my bio. I started barking in the Slack chat earlier, so I mean,
you did. So I'm a little confused myself. So maybe next week we'll just have to have you speak dog the entire time. Erin, who wins? Who gets 400?
I'm gonna say it's gonna be 45-24.
I thought you were speaking about players and numbers, and I'm like, John Lovett tore his ACL. Please don't pick him.
No. I'm sorry. It's gonna be Packers. Packers win 45-24. But it's gonna be like there's gonna be 2 touchdowns in garbage time. So I think it's gonna be over like at the half. As for the 400, I was gonna say Mercedes Lewis too. So I'm a little annoyed, but I really want it to be, I want it to be Tavon Austin, because I want it to be that he throws it to a first-round wide receiver for the first time in his career. That would just be, I just want to see Twitter just explode because of that.
Yeah. That would
with
be
a lot of
fantastic.
angry people conflicted on whether or not to be angry or excited. I want to see all of those like crabby people like bitching about it. So,
Well,
yeah.
if there's anything I've learned is that there are some people that are not happy unless they have something to bitch about. So they'll have that. And good for them if that is very much the case. I'm excited to see Tavon Austin too. I've gotten irrationally excited. He's somebody that I wasn't too high on coming into his draft, but listening to Aaron Rodgers, Adrian Amos, Jamal Williams, like all these guys are talking about him like it's one of those like on the margin moves that could be a big deal.
Like a Swerve and Irvin last year.
Yeah, which with all due respect to Swerve and Irvin, this has a much higher ceiling. Like Tyler Irvin's bar last season was literally run fucking forward, like fall forward, gain 9 yards on a punt return, and will be out of the like last year. I'll never forget this. Well, maybe I will at some point, but not in the near future. Traymon Smith catches a punt and there's space in front of him. And at the time, the Packers were -8 total punt return yards that year. And he has some space. I'm like, oh my God, he has some room to finally like kill that story. He ran sideways and he fucking fumbled out of bounds. Like I was like, oh my God, we're never going to get out of this. They cut him the next week. Tyler Irvin comes in. He's the greatest punt returner of all time. The rest is history, obviously. But Tavon Austin is here and he's going to be Desmond Howard. So I am very excited to see that, you know, Tim Backus predicted the other day that Darnell Savage is going to have a pick 6 in the Super Bowl. And our guy, Drew Chai, put together a video that basically tells you that Tavon Austin is going to have a punt return and a kickoff return for a touchdown in the Super Bowl. So there's 21 points. There you go, Mike Patton. We've already spotted you 21. So, and Aaron Rodgers, we've spotted you 21. Can you get us maybe, 14? And can we get a 35 pointer in the Super Bowl? And it should be okay from there, right? The Tavon Austin thing is going to be fun. I'm excited to just kind of see what that does. Even if he's just a returner, the ceiling is higher for him.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've been like really excited about a mid-season pickup, and I feel like I'm getting my hopes up a little too much, but I'm excited.
I am too, but you know what? That's kind of the fun part of being a fan, right? Is we're supposed to talk ourselves into this being a huge deal. And sometimes it's the moves like these that pay big dividends. Zach likes to point out all the time. Howard Green was a nondescript defensive lineman signing. And the Nick Collins pick 6 obviously is the play, but that play does not happen without Howard Green hitting Ben Roethlisberger's arm. So there we're at it, guys. We're at the end of the show. And like I said, I apologize if I assume most of you stopped listening. We're at our 57-minute mark. I assume most of you stopped listening, about 54 minutes ago. I respect it. Frankly, if that's the case, I respect it. We're recording this on December 3rd, so I want to give a special birthday shout out to someone that I love very, very much, and he's been a very important person in my life, and that is Rashawn Gary, my son. And you're a very important person in my life, and I hope you had a very special day. And I was very happy to see that you got a spot on Good Morning Football today, talking about your foundation with dyslexia. So I'm very proud of you, Rashawn, and I look forward to you getting a couple sacks this weekend to put that all together. So happy birthday to my son, Rashawn. A happy belated birthday to Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Jones, and of course, musical legend and one of the most influential voices of our lifetime, the great Britney Spears. And everybody, Aaron's like nodding her head, and then she laughed at me. I think she was surprised that I knew that, but
no, because you said it yesterday in Lombardi's bar chat, and because you didn't know how to spell her name correctly.
Correct. So yeah. I've got a friend of mine who, it's actually really funny. The December 2nd date is like oddly important to a lot of people. So for him, my buddy Vince, it's Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Jones, Britney Spears. For me, it's Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Jones, Gary Sanchez, catcher for the Yankees. And it's just kind of strange how many people that are like important, quote unquote, in my life were born on that day. So nonetheless, guys, happy birthday to Rashawn Gary. I'm appreciative for everything you've done and all the joy that you've brought me in your short time in this life as your father. So, I'm
very uncomfortable.
I think I've officially made that joke a little weird. So whatever, this whole show's been weird. The whole show's been a disaster. You can find us on Twitter. We're at GameOnWI. We have someone really cool who runs our social media account. I'm going to let her promo that now.
Yeah, follow us at Game On WI, and find us on Instagram at Game On WI and Facebook at Game On Wisconsin, and on YouTube Game On Wisconsin. So yeah.
Yeah, check us
what?
on yourself as well, obviously.
Oh, well, you said social media. So find me on Twitter at Heroine, HEROOINE. I have an article that comes out every Thursday called Thirsty Thursday. It's cocktails. Today was a really fun one. Yeah, last week's was really good because it was a shot of Malort because it's Chicago. But this week is an actual cocktail, and it's actually a very good one that I drink every 4th of July because it's got some ties to our founding fathers. And was created in Philadelphia. So, yeah.
Yeah, really funny story about George Washington today. So that was fun to follow along with.
Yep, catch it at
Go ahead.
It's gameonwi.com.
Yep, check it out over there. And then also check out our merchandise website, which is on our Twitter page. We actually just came out, like I mentioned, with the new WWE shirt. There's some stuff on there. It's a good chance for you guys to support some of the great people that go on this website. Every cent from that goes back to the site and the great people that have been able to kind of put this whole thing together. So if you have an opportunity, want a t-shirt, want a hat, I actually just bought the mask, the gator, where unfortunately it looks like going to be wearing masks until 2025 or something like that. I don't know when this will stop, but if you're going to have that, it might as well be comfortable. And that mask is very comfortable. So I've enjoyed it. And it's not a lot of money. It's not going to break the bank, and they come quickly. So it's not like something that, sorry guys.
Phrasing.
I just had to hotkey myself. That's embarrassing. This show's been horrible. And Erin's a child because her eyes got like as big as the screen after I said that. The delivery gets to your house quickly. It's not like you're going to wait. If you order it now, you're not going to wait until January, the middle of January to get it. So, Jesus, Erin, it's not that funny.
I'm good.
And Erin's a pervert.
Oh, there's a big surprise. That's an incredible. I think I'm going to have a heart attack and die from that surprise.
Anyways, please order our merchandise. We just had some new stuff. We have a hoodie and a t-shirt. Well, soon to be a hoodie and a t-shirt. Inspired by the Pat McAfee show and the WWE from the 1990s. That's pretty cool. A lot of different stuff on there. Zach, I haven't given you a chance to promote your stuff because Erin's a perv.
Shut up.
I'm not that important anyway, Jacob.
Yeah, so his OnlyFans page is onlyfans.com. It's Zachariah J.
No, it's just Zach A. Jacobson. I can use my full name on there because I don't have to hide from the fit.
Oh, you changed the URL then since I made it.
Yeah, right. I went in and changed the address. Like I said, I don't have to hide from anybody. So, you can find me on Twitter at It's Zachariah J. That's my handle. And you can also find me at Game On Wisconsin. I do Open Book with Eli Berkovitz every Wednesday at 3 p.m. You can find me at Packer Report as well. I had a story on Tavon Austin drop this morning, Thursday. So yeah, I'm actually upset that I didn't get to talk about him because he's my hero right now, but it's okay. We're out of time.
Frankly, your analysis is just not that important to me.
I know, Jacob. You made that clear on numerous occasions.
I have no idea why any of you agreed to do anything with me. Well, Erin doesn't agree to do anything with me. She declines everything with me. But, you know, this podcast, she agreed to do this with you. I don't think she knew I was involved.
Right.
Yeah, it was Zach's idea. So that's what
it was. Yeah. I technically recruited both of you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this wouldn't be happening if it wasn't for me. I'm pretty much, I'm the head honcho here. So both of you.
So you're the one to blame.
Yeah. So both of you technically have to listen to what I say.
So if you guys listening think, if anybody is still listening and you think this show sucks, it's Zach's fault. So you guys tell him.
Yeah, I'm built different. I can handle all this shit. Bring it on. Come on.
What are you, LeBron?
Yeah.
Speaking of LeBron, did you happen to see that the best player in basketball is facing LeBron on Christmas Day?
I hope you're not talking about Luka.
I sure am.
Oh, well, that's
the 2021 NBA MVP.
And the Lakers got to break my heart today because they signed Anthony Davis, and I was hoping he was going to come home.
That was never going to happen. That was never going to happen, sweetheart.
We're gonna pull a Wade and sign him when he's like on the decline, and then give him all the money. Yeah.
Listen, there are
That's what the
options
Bulls
to
do.
sign with like good, competent as much as I hate the Lakers, there are options to sign with good, competent organizations that can compete for championships, or there's option to like sign with the Chicago Bulls.
Wait,
Well,
Jacob,
I'm
so
here.
The Bucks are playing the Lakers?
No, Giannis is going to
That would
play
have
out
been a
the
good joke if you like said it when he said it.
right.
Well,
No,
I
Giannis is
tried.
getting ready to just play out the string before he comes to play with Luka.
Look, I keep trolling everybody in the group chats that I'm in, and I keep saying that Giannis is leaving, which I still kind of think he is.
Are you trolling by calling him Giannis?
Giannis? It's Giannis.
Giannis. Whatever. Look, it's I've had a long 2 days. Can you just leave me alone? Okay.
All right, guys, we've had enough. It's at Zachariah J, at Jacob Westendorf, at Heroin, at Game on WI. We out. See you next week.
This team loves to win ugly. Winning ugly gets you to this point.
Takes the snap on third down. Rodgers waits, throws, right side, got a man wide open. Touchdown, and it's Robert Tonyan again. Aaron Rodgers with his 4th touchdown of the game.